Howdy, howdy, Chris here, and today I'm excited because we get to start the repairs on the Chevy Trail Boss. We're going to repair this bedside. I'm going to show you exactly how we do it, and today's episode is going to be dedicated to straightening that metal. So the first thing we need to do is evaluate this dent, and this dent is going to be quite the challenge. It's got a lot of things going on here. It's got several different creases along this quarter panel. The bedside has been sucked in right along the wheel opening there, and we need to pull that out. There's multiple crowns that have been created by this dent and some unique body contours in this bedside. So let's dig in and make some noise. The very first thing we want to do is get this wheel opening back into shape. So I'm going to use my pulling tower with my chain fall, and I've got it tied down to the floor, and we're going to set it up and pull this bedside back into specs. I'll use a flat hook and a 2x4 to get a wider pull on this bedside. I'm also going to use a straight edge to check the progress of the pull. I'll need to do several pulls in the center of this wheel opening to get this back into shape. So I'm going to adjust the truck to where I need to pull it. This is starting to come out. Right here is where I pulled. So this is starting to come out, but this is still sucked in right here. So we're going to pull this out a little bit, see if we can get that a little straighter. Now what I'm going to do is I have a little high area here, so I'm going to tap this down while I have pressure on this area. That's right where it needs to be. It needs to come out just a little bit more, but when I tap this down, that'll pull that out just a little bit more. Now that line's starting to look quite a bit better. We need to bring it out right here. We need to bring it out right here in this area here. So I'm using the straight edge ruler just to get a good idea of where my highs and lows are. I have a couple little areas where I over pulled and some low areas still, so we're going to do some more pulling on this and get it ready to remove that crease. Now that I have the wheel opening pulled back into shape, I'm going to remove this paint in the crease with an angle grinder and a 36 grit roloc disc. We want nice clean metal to use the G90E and the wavy wire to pull that crease out. This repair is the perfect opportunity to use the G90E and the wavy wire. We changed out the tip in the handle, and we can weld this wavy wire right into that crease. Now we do have to change the settings on the G90E. So the setting for this tool is a number 4. So we're going to switch it over to that, and I'm just going to leave it on the high heat setting. Now we'll weld the wire right into the center of that crease. Okay, so now that we have the wiggle wire welded on, that's kind of a tongue twister. Let's go ahead and hook up the puller and see how well this works. Now I'm just pulling a little bit to see how well this comes out. And you could hook this clamp up to a tower, and maybe I'll try that, but for now I'm just going to try and pull it. It's not really budging like I want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide hammer it, and we'll see if that'll pull it out like we want. Wow, that's doing a real nice job. I don't know if you could see that on camera, but the section that let's pull this off. So if you look down the side, the section that I pulled right here, significantly out. So now I'm going to come over to this section. This needs to come out just a little bit farther, but let's work this section, and we'll just keep going down the line and then come back until this is all level. I'm impressed with how well this is pulling this out. I did not think this would work this well. Yeah, I over pulled it there. Let's take the wiggle wire off and take a look. You can see right here, there's still a little low area on top of this, but this whole ridge right here that was sucked in is pulled out. The wiggle wire or wavy wire, whatever you want to call it, did really well on pulling that out. Let's go ahead and try it right here. Pull this crease out. This is a very deep section of this dent. Okay, so there we have it all welded on. Now I skipped, there was a high area right here. Yeah, right here. That's a high ridge where it got dented here and then it went over that ridge and dented it here. So I didn't weld that one on because I don't want to pull that out. Now a few of the areas I don't think I had it quite clean enough, and there was a little bit of paint residue, so I don't know if it welded as well. But let's go ahead and do a slide hammer pull on this. We're going to start with this section here, and then we'll move on to this section. Tight. Let's give it a good hit. Oh, that came out quite a bit. I'll pull out just a little bit more on this section, and we'll see if we can get just a little bit better before we use the hammer and dolly. After the second pull, this section came out fantastic. Let's clean up the metal and move on to the center section. I'm going to continue to use the G90E and this wavy wire to remove this crease, and then we'll use the slapper tool and a hammer and dolly to straighten out the rest of the panel. Now I'm going to pull on the center of this dent while I tap down the high areas that were created around that dent. This will help level out the metal, make it easier to fill. Once I have this crease removed, I'm going to switch over to my hammer and dolly. Now this panel is double walled. I cannot get my dolly right up against the outer panel, but I can still support it with the dolly and hammer down the high areas. So how you use a hammer and dolly is you take the dolly, you put it on the dent behind the panel, and then you hammer around it, the high areas around it, to release that tension in that metal. I am going to have to use the G90E to finish up all the little low areas and straighten them out. If you want a more detailed explanation on how to metal finish a dent, I have a full video on that. I will leave a link at the end. Now I'm going to go around this repair and feel over it. Look for any high areas that I may have missed. I want to tap those down so when I fill it, I don't have any problems blocking this out. I am going to switch over and use my shrinking tool. This is a slapper tool that shrinks the metal. So I got a dolly behind it and I'm flattening out some of these crowns or high areas. Shrinking metal is a great technique to use if you have a panel that has an oil can effect, so it's very flexible. You don't want to put filler over something that's not firm. If it's not firm, then you're not going to be able to get it straight, or it's going to be very difficult. So that's a great technique. Keep an eye out for a future video on shrinking metal. If you're looking for products or tools for your repair, check out the link to my storefront down in the description. If you're new to the channel or have any questions, leave me a comment down below. If you find this content helpful and want to see more, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss anything. This channel and community is dedicated to helping you do your own DIY repairs. So whatever you're struggling with on your project, let me know down in the comments below. And in next week's episode, I'll share with you how we straighten this dent with body filler and get it into primer. So don't miss it. I appreciate each and every one of you watching. We'll see you next time on Garage Noise.